Hi, my name's Dave Crendel, and we're here to give you an expose of our vacuum product line here, and we're going to show you a little bit more details of specifications and features that separates us from our competitors. As we go up our product line, we start with our smallest vacuum, which is our 11 horse unit, and it's for the startup contractor that may only be doing smaller attics once or twice a month. So if you're not worried about speed or the high temperature in the attic and getting out of there fast, this unit works well for you. So as the units get larger with horsepower engines, the fan blades get larger in diameter, and the production rate will increase as you go up in product line. So this is our starter unit, 11 horsepower economy unit. As we move over to the next one is our 16 horse. This has a Briggs & Stratton Vanguard engine on it. It has a 2.25 gallon fuel capacity on it, which will run a little over 2 hours. As you can see, it's got a hand truck style wheel, no flat wheels on it, and a easy grip handling device for the handle to move it up and down ramps and through doorways. And then the final one that we're going to show, which is our most popular vacuum, is our 23 horsepower. We offer this in a Briggs & Stratton Vanguard engine, which has a 3-year warranty, or we offered it for a slight upcharge with a Honda engine on it. And let's do a kind of a little more detailed walk around on this unit. This unit has an extended muffler to keep the heat away from the engine, to extend the life of the engine. So both of these engines have extended top muffler on them, keep that heat away from the engine. As we start from the front of the device and walk around, we have a front cover with a safety guard on it. This unit should, when the hose is not connected, should always be in a position where it falls and protects the intake. So if it starts up without a hose, there's no suction or danger of the flying debris coming out of the vacuum. You should never be running this vacuum without that cover in place or without hoses hooked up to this unit. As we walk around, you can see we have 4 wheels, 2 swivel wheels that are locking in front, and the rear no flat wheels on this unit. And with this vacuum, it has an easy balance to it, where we can tip it back and use it up and down ramps, or we can simply push it around on flat surfaces. Easy to handle. As we move over to the side of the engine here, you can see the area here where we have a intake recoil filter. All of our engine cooling air goes through this area, and it cools the block of the engine where there's cooling fins. We don't want a lot of fiber going through that area collecting on the engine, because it will burn out the engine and void the warranty. So we got to make sure that we keep a filter in place. We got to make sure that we keep that filter clean so we're not starving that engine for cooling air. We have an easy access oil filter, fuel filter, a 5-gallon fuel tank, which allows about a 4-hour runtime without refilling. Our battery area, easily chargeable or jumped if the battery goes dead. Throttle controls here, and that will complete our walk around of the features of this vacuum. The one last thing I do want to add is we have a build-up frame around this engine that when you put this unit back in the vehicle after it's properly cooled for 15 or 20 minutes, and you stack bags of insulation or materials on top of that, this protects the lower part of the engine so it doesn't get damaged. So this is like a bumper frame that we put on these units to protect the unit when they're being transported and material stacked around them. Okay, as we continue our expose of our features on our vacuums, we're going to start with our vacuum chamber. Now what makes this special is the band, the wear strip around this vacuum chamber is what gets all the wear and tear. If you see a lot of older used vacuums out there, they have holes in here that we find out that people are welding closed and everything. This 1/4-inch band is very important. It's made out of AR400 steel, and it's a 1/4-inch thick. And that unit should last well over a year with very abrasive materials. We offer an optional upgrade on these chambers that puts a second strip on there, so we have a total of a 1/2 inch of AR hardened steel going around that chamber band area. So that's one important feature of our vacuum chambers. These can cost upwards of $500 or $600 to replace, so we don't want these wearing out every year. The second thing, again, is the front cover of this chamber. We make sure that we have a vacuum cover plate to protect any kind of debris being pulled in, or the hands or body parts. We don't want anything going on in there because it's a very strong vacuum, so that must be kept in place when there is no hoses on there. Now let's talk about our blades, because this is very important. The geometry of our blade is important. We have 6 fins or blades that are made out of AR 500 steel. This is the same type of steel that's used for armor plating and shooting ranges. And we put a forward curvature on this blade. So as this blade is turning forward, it creates tip turbulence, and that tip turbulence is what keeps our chambers clean when you get wet and damp fibers. Otherwise you'll get a buildup in your chambers. The second thing is, other than the 1/4 inch thick AR 500 steel, as the engine size gets larger, the fans get larger, and as we get to our 23 horse, our monster vac, the blade also gets wider. Instead of a 3-inch blade, this is a 4-inch blade, and we have a very strong gusseting system to protect these blades from being knocked out of balance by objects that go through the unit. We still recommend using a vac saver to extend the life of this, but these are a very durable blade right here. I don't think there's anybody in the industry that has a blade as reinforced this strongly. So let's get into looking at this unit and in the assembly here. You can see we have our reinforced AR 500 blade right here. Another feature that we have that is different than some of the competitors out there is we have a fairly close tip clearance to the exhaust port right here, 3/4 of an inch or so. That allows us to get a higher compression and pulling power than when you have a large chamber oversized and have a very large clearance where you get a lot of air slippage in the system when you're trying to pull fiber. So all these are important things that make our units one of the more powerful units and more durable units in the market. Same things on this unit. This is a Briggs engine instead of a Honda engine that we showed you previously, but we have an hour meter right here that will give you RPM of the engine, and it should be running in the area of 3,600 RPM. Just a few hundred RPM off can slow down your production rate significantly. And sometimes people think they're running on full speed because the throttle cable right here has slipped a little bit, and they're only at 3,200 RPM. That would indicate that there's something going on with the engine, and we want to have that fixed so we don't slow you down. We can also show hours for service on here, and we'll talk about this in another video on servicing and maintaining the engine, but every 50 hours we recommend an oil change on this unit. Again, here's a 5-gallon fuel tank, and in that we can run for a little over 4 hours.